jump into this. How'd you guys get into music?
That's a very long question. I don't know. I think for me, it was just always inside of me when I was a kid. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do. Nobody, at least in my family, can ever remember me saying that I wanted to do anything else. So I think it's just something that's always been inside.
Yeah. I
Word.
mean, I started piano when I was 4, and ever since then, I've just been, playing piano, playing saxophone, and I don't know, it's just something that I naturally kind of fell into and love doing.
Yeah, I started playing piano when I was like around like 5, and I absolutely hated it. I didn't actually enjoy music that much until like high school, and then I started playing the bass in junior year, and then I got like super super into it.
Someday, baby, you're gonna be mine. Someday, baby, you're gonna be mine. Someday, baby, you're gonna be mine. Someday, baby, you're gonna be
How
mine.
did the band first come about?
Stemmed from a previous band I was in. I was just kind of writing some different songs at the time, and the band that I was in didn't want to play them. It wasn't punk enough for them. So basically, I started another band, and I took a couple members with me, and then I took some members of my other band and just kind of combined them, and that's what became the original lineup of the Abruptors. Very soon after, we took a couple members of another ska band and added them, and that's where Toni comes in.
Word.
Yep.
So just
That's
an
I mean, that's
amalgamation,
basically the origin story. It's
the
not the most
amalgamation
exciting.
of bands, just
We have a very
into one
small
super
community here.
word.
Don't worry, it'll be alright. Don't worry, I'll keep you safe at night. Don't worry, I'll listen what you say. Don't worry, yeah, there will come a day. Well, cat when I held you tight and we talked our way into the night. And dare you hit me so strong. Well, I know our love now can't be.
Your first single, the first thing you put out was that popped up on the Bandcamp. I don't know how close the Bandcamp discography follows your actual discography, because sometimes people put shit out on there later and it gives me the wrong date and I look like a fool. But the first thing to
Let's
pop
see.
up was a cover of a Deal's Gone Bad song, "Be Mine Tonight."
No, so that is wrong. I think I may have removed the original.
Anything in this world.
No, it was Don't Worry.
Oh.
It's the song that got us signed to Asian Man. So we basically did like maybe I think 3 songs on a little demo thing in my basement, and we just sent them to Mike Park. And the song "Don't Worry" was like the first song I wrote. It was for the other band, but they didn't want it. Again, it wasn't punk enough for them. But Mike heard it, and within a month, he was just like, "Oh yeah," he's like, "Let's put out a 7 inch."
Are
So
you talking about Buffalo Ska?
that's what Mike named it. Yeah, we didn't name it that, but yeah, we were so kind of like new into this that whatever Mike Park said, we were just like, absolutely. Now these days, it's like 10 years later, and Mike will say something, I'll be like, no, that's stupid. But we had to build that very long relationship. But yeah, it was called "Don't Worry." That was the first ever. There's a little on YouTube. There's a little old demo that we sent Mike. It's on there still. It's got a picture of a little boy waiting for a bus.
Word, word. Uh, and so that's what turned into the three track Buffalo Ska, huh?
I walk along this lonely street, trying to find a future. New pair of shoes are on my feet. This fashion is my only culture. Nothing ever changed.
And then
Yep.
be Mike, because according to the fucking Bandcamp, It said the Be Mine Tonight came out April 25th, 2016, and Buffalo Ska came out June. So, yeah, I guess that's, like I said, it misguides me sometimes. It's hard to get shit, you know.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I think when we were kind of waiting on the 7-inch to drop, we were just kind of going to like random studios and recording just random stuff, anything from specials covers to Be Mine Tonight from Deals Gone Bad.
The Do Nothing,
So,
referring to the specials cover. That was a great cover.
Do Nothing? Yeah, thank you. It was fun. We used to have 4 special songs sometimes that we would just kind of break out.
We used to joke, what are we turning into? A specials cover band?
And then one time we tried to do a specials madness cover show, but it didn't work out.
And I've heard all the excuses, so don't tell me this time things will be different. I'll just wait and see.
Love and Other Disasters. That was a great debut album. Tell me about that.
Those songs have been sitting around pretty much since the beginning of the band, which was 2015. So I mean, we're sitting on those for almost 4 years. And it was kind of interesting because they went through some different changes because you got basically like a year and a half of when Toni wasn't in the band, and then like a year and a half or 2 years when she was in the band before we recorded. So she got to kind of reshape some of the or all of the horn lines we had at the time. At that point, we didn't have a good horn section at all. They actually aren't on the 7-inch. That 7-inch was recorded by Western Standard Time Ska Orchestra. Sadly, I don't think the horn players at the time ever came to grips with that. They just assumed that was them, which is odd, but it's definitely not. So yeah, for our first album, Toni kind of like reworked every song, and she gave it like a solid horn line that would be played every time we played the song. You know, sometimes those horn lines used to change on the fly before she joined. So yeah, it was nice to have like a solid just horn section at that point. So I think a lot of those songs were mostly about my divorce at the time that I was going through. So, you know, some were leftover songs from a different time period, but
A few of them were also new because I wrote,
oh yeah, she also wrote a song on that.
yeah, towards the end of the song, he wrote Sings Tomorrow, I think it
Mhm.
was called. And then there were a few on there too that I remember you writing, like Let You Go, that one. I Tried was one that you wrote a little bit later, like towards
Those were
almost,
both about my divorce.
yeah, but like you wrote them like closer to when we were going to record them, so we weren't
True.
sitting on them for 4 years.
No, but there was a good chunk that had been there. We have some really old demos that sometimes we listen to if we want to laugh and just like see how like
What the words were.
what the words, or
Yeah.
how different it was in general. This is wild.
Just because you're better than me doesn't mean that I'm a lazy. Just because you're going forwards doesn't mean that I'm going backwards.
Word. Tell me a bit about. Oh, you did a couple more covers in between. You did a Billy Braggs cover and what is that? Oh,
Yeah, the Billy Braggs cover was interesting because we were going through like a massive change in the band and a lawsuit at the same time. So it was like we were only 4 people, like we are today, but at that point we were 4 people and we didn't really know what to do. So we're like, let's just like pick a song and record it and see what happens. So at that time, Toni wasn't even playing keys yet, and she was playing the saxophone and singing lead. And then we had our buddy Rick Johnson from Mustard Plug. He owned this Hammond organ that he keeps like a collection of Hammond organs up in his parents' garage that he says that they don't know about. So he busted one of those out and recorded the organ for us. So it was kind of cool because it showed us that like maybe you don't need 7,000 people in a ska band, you know? Maybe you could just do it with just a few.
word. I feel as if everyone needs a stash of Hammond organ somewhere.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would be. I mean, I don't know how he got them all up there without them knowing, but
That's awesome. That's awesome. I got a question about in 2021 January you released a single called "Who What Where" that was ended up being on the on your album, but on the cover of it it says "Moving On."
that's good.
So yeah, good catch. So we actually had planned to record that one before COVID even happened, right? We had like a whole plan. We were gonna go to Michigan.
And the world shut down on the day we were supposed to leave to record.
Yep. And so originally, we were like, hey, we just put out this record in 2019. Let's keep the momentum going by releasing an EP. And so we had picked that song as kind of like the lead single from the EP, and we had a couple other songs. I don't even remember what we were doing. I don't even know. I think like the reprise of Someday was supposed to be on there, and then maybe a couple other ones that we had picked. Um, and so we had this whole plan. We were going to record it. We were going to release the EP, and Moving On was what we called it. I don't even remember why at the time. But my sister, she did like the album or the single art for it. And by the time we recorded it and released it, we were already talking to Mike, I think, about making the next album.
Well, but it was a very important part of our history because as the world was shutting down and we couldn't go and record that, we also decided that it was best to part ways with some band members, which ironically is not actually what inspired that title because they were supposed to be on it. But before the world shut down, they were acting funny and some of them wouldn't come with us to go record it. So we were going to go as the four of us anyway and just record it because we were like, well, we're not going to dick around waiting for you guys. We'll just do it anyway. So it's an interesting time in our history where that kind of like branched off into the second album and how that lineup came to be.
Yeah, I honestly forgot about it until you just said that.
I haven't thought about it in years.
Yeah, it's wild.
Word. Like I said, it didn't match the title of the song, and I'm like, well, what's going on here? There has to be a story behind it.
Well, it's actually a different version too.
Yeah, it's recorded. It's a completely different recording. We did it in Alex's studio that he has in his basement. And to be honest, I kind of like that version better for some reason. I
There's
don't know
some
why,
things I like
but
about it better, and some things that it's hard to pick for me.
yeah, I think like I don't know, performance wise, I personally feel like, but yeah, very very interesting. You picked up on that because I don't think anybody has ever asked us about that.
Word. But it was the first song. The first song on your next album, yes, right? Tell me about that. I fucking love that album. Noticeably Cheerless.
This was the first time Mike and I really kind of had like split writing where he would write some lyrics and send a song my way, and then I'd be like, oh cool, maybe I think we could add a bridge here, like best wishes, warmest regards. That's what happened, and the lyrics to that song were way different. But that's one of the first songs where I was like, hey, I think this bridge would be really cool, and I kind of whipped something up quickly, and that's a song that we kind of co-wrote pieces together. Majority what you wrote. But that's really the first album where, he and I really collaborated on a lot of the things that are on that record. I don't know, it's really special to us and
Yeah.
like how we wrote it. Just Another Day, I think, was actually the very first song that we did co-write together. Like you came over with your guitar and we sat down and I was like, here are some lyrics, and I had no music idea and you were just like, all right, let's go for it.
Yeah, that used to be a really fun thing that we would do every weekend is we would just try to write songs with whatever we had. And then we'd watch a bunch of like 90 Day Fiance, eat a bunch of really food that was terrible for us. And it was a good time. But what's really funny about that album to me, and I was just thinking about that today, I don't know why, but I often forget like who the bass player was on that album. So I actually think it was Christian. But then I kind of like remind myself, I'm like, oh shit, wait, he wasn't even here at that time. But I don't know, my brain always immediately goes to him being the bass player on that album. But yeah, it was a very fun album to make. Rick Johnson produced it for us. I don't know. There's something special about when we get to hang with him. It's just like he's almost like that extra member of the band because he knows who we are and what we like and don't like. And then he also knows when to push us. Even if we say no, he's just like, trust me. And then he's gonna make something really good. So yeah, it was a great album though, man. Like a lot of those songs were just how we were feeling at that time and just I don't know, we still love it.
Well, I understand that you get really, really lonely on the road. Truth is, I learned to be really, really lonely when I'm home. At home in love by myself. At home in love with myself.
Let's talk about that MU330 cover. I fucking love that MU330 cover.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. I feel like it doesn't get enough love. I don't know. It kind of like got lost somewhere in like single releases.
It's obviously not the most popular MU330 song, but it's a funny story behind it. I mean, for people who know us, they know that we have a history with like three people, like very close. So it's Mike Park, obviously, Rick Johnson, and Dan Pothaste. He's been on every single one of our albums in some way, shape, or form. And this third album, he not only is on the album in his usual spots, he produced the whole thing this time. So he was in the studio in California with us all 8 days, just hanging out, making changes, getting into fights with me, So, but yeah, he's always been like that third person that's always had a big thing in our band. And Alex, our drummer, me and him, we grew up like listening to MU330 and we bonded over MU330, Bruce Lee band, like all the Asian Man bands, right? And Alex had always wanted to do a cover, but just like nothing felt right. So this guy from a band, I think his name is Talar. I apologize if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, but he plays in a band called Goodbye Viking, and he does like these random comps. And one day he just hit me up and he said, Rick Johnson's going to add to this comp I'm making of MU330, and it happened to be like Dan was in on it too, which was funny. But he said, do you guys want to add a song too? So I text Alex and I say, hey man, somebody wants us to be on this comp. And he said, yeah. He's like, I want to do Understand though. And I went back to listen to the song and I'm like, you're fucking crazy. I'm like, there's no way that we're going to make that work with how we sound. Absolutely not. So he takes it upon himself. He records every instrument himself in his basement all alone to prove me wrong. And he
was right.
He was totally right. Totally right. Alex is one of those people that you'll tell him, hey man, you're an amazing musician. He'll go, whatever. You can't get him to take a compliment. But I mean, he literally recorded everything himself very, very well just to prove me wrong. And he was so right. So, we wanted to make it like different. We wanted her to sing the lead. And just like, obviously just listening to it versus the original, it is so different. But it's such a great song. The only reason we don't tend to play that one live is we tend to get lost.
Yeah, we learned it to record it and then can't seem to keep ourselves straight while we're playing it live.
We don't know why.
We should try it again.
Again.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Maybe we're in a better space. But
It's funny because what was it? A month ago, I was given Hans Gruber and the Diehards. Have you heard of that band? The
Yeah.
cover of Brazil. I fucking love their cover of Brazil. They have no clue how to play it live. They're like, we don't, we don't even know how to play that song. We did it for the album, and that's it. And I was like, man, you
It's
should.
so
Yep.
funny.
That's this song for us. I think I had to stop halfway through to be like, what is the chord for this again?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
I don't know. It's so weird because, like, with ska, you do tend to play the same thing over and over again, and you would assume it's easy to get lost. But that song specifically always would get us, like, we'd always look at each other and we're supposed to end, and we're like, I don't know. It was funny, but yeah, maybe we should give it another shot. Bring it back.
Cool.
I'm feeling crazy beneath the smoky haze. I've been in this life for much too long.
But yeah, let's move on to your new album that just dropped in December. Fucking Everything You Know Is Wrong. Fucking great album. Great album. Tell me about it, that one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's another one of those like kind of funny stories. We were thinking back to the original release we did with Mike, and I just reached out. We had like, was it 4 songs?
3, I
Three
think.
songs. So we had very small amount of songs, but they're good songs that we really liked. And we just said, hey Mike, we want to do another 7-inch. Haven't done one of those in a while. Like everybody likes Noticeably Cheerless, so let's keep going, you know? And he just responds back, no. He goes, let's just do a full album. I was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, but I got 3 songs. I'm like, that's not a full album. He goes, it's no problem. We'll just
Write
you'll-
more songs.
Yep, you'll write more songs. I'll write some songs for you. It's fine. I'll make the date.
And then he booked plane tickets.
Yep. Then we were like,
So we had 4 songs and plane tickets, and we were like, what are we gonna do?
yeah. It's very interesting though, because like the other album was like really slaving over it, like Noticeably Cheerless. We're just writing and we're really focused. This one, it was like, here's the song. And we would just kind of, big credit goes to Dan in the studio where he reworked a lot of stuff like while we were there and also helped us like decode what Mike Park's notes were because they're weird. So yeah, it was, I mean, you were working with Dan on bass lines.
Yeah, Dan had a lot of really cool ideas, and that was kind of like a big like moment overall, like in my bass journey, because a lot of my lines tend to be busier, and then Dan really stripped some of them back and brought like a whole new kind of feel to them. So like some of the parts, like for this just in, that has like it starts off I think more laid back, and that was Dan. Like he gave me that idea, and he kind of worked through that with me, and then it gets busier and busier, and that's like what I originally had.
Mm.
Where
Yeah.
I love your
I
busy
think-
bass lines. I fucking love that shit when it's busy. I write super
Yeah.
busy bass lines myself. I can't help it. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say 3 of those songs we learned right in the studio. Like we had never really played them at all until we got there. 2 of them we play live all the time now. But yeah, so 3 of them we learned in the studio. I think another one starts with an S. Not such a, we have so many that start with an S. What's the one that's like supposed to be? Supposed to be we practiced I think once before we flew out to California.
Yeah, it was a song. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was the song I wrote and like it was for a different band a very long time ago. So we realized we didn't have enough songs, and I was like, let's take this one. It was an old punk song that I wrote. So
and then we kind of reworked it a little bit. So yeah, so we had the 4 and then we were writing all along, but a lot of those songs were really kind of like, I don't want to say last minute, but they were really last minute. Like we learned them in the studio pretty much.
Yeah, I remember like being at. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember us being at like the place we were staying at like the kitchen table, like in a circle,
Yep.
and we're just like putting all our ears towards the phone, listening to the voice memo from Mike Park, and all our instruments are like not amplified because we just have like, so it's just like electric guitar and electric bass, but just like hearing like the very quietness along with going with it. So that was it. That was fun.
I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was like, all right, we're doing it live, I guess.
It was so funny because when you listen to his voicemails, he would he would say something like, is it time for, and this is the part where you go, whoa, oh, oh, is it time for whoa, oh, 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 and then he's playing guitar, like kind of sloppy, and he's like, and then I wanted to change over to Toni like this, and then but he's also trying to sing at the same time. So we're like, what the hell do you want? But luckily, Dan has worked with him for so long. Dan was like, I got this. Like, I know what he's talking about. And we're like, how? So, but yeah, it was interesting to record after you learn a song and then you just record it. It was weird.
That's fucking crazy. It's like let's see, I was talking to Adam Davis when he wrote the last couple Omnigon albums. He's just like, we just throw it all together right before we go in the studio. It's like you write a whole album in a week or so, and it's like, how the hell do you do that? And it's like you just do it. You just do it. But then,
I mean, there's one song that we had been playing since like almost noticeably. It could have been on Noticeably Cheerless, but it missed it by a hair, and it was St. Louis. Like that one was kind of around a bit longer, as well as Perception. Those two were kind of floating around. I think like the album was done but not mastered at that time, but it was like we recorded everything, so we'll save those two. And I'm glad we did, but those are the only two that we really had pretty much down.
well, it turned out fucking great. I love this new album. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.